show. I'm Jayashree Kurup. I'm editor MBTV. We're talking about the rules for coming out of lockdown, and discussing this with me is Nayan Shah. He's President CREDAI MCHI. Suresh Hari is Chairman CREDAI Bengaluru, and Sudeep Malik is partner Khaitan and Company. Thank you, gentlemen, for joining me. First of all, let me go to Nayan Shah. So, what is happening in Maharashtra? Has work started, and what are the challenges that you are first facing?
First of all, welcome to everybody. It's a great pleasure to be at MBTV. And Jayashree, the work in Maharashtra, in Mumbai, they have started. Around the third week of April, we got the pre-monsoon work permission. So all cases where the basements were already dug, the foundations were half done, the shore piling was required, so all that work was supposed to be very, very uh, important, critical, because it would have led to a calamity or a catastrophe had the work not get completed. So the coastal road work, the road works, the building work, all those works have started. Then on 3rd of May, a circular came out to start all the other work with in-situ laborers. So we cannot get laborers from outside because otherwise there are chances of in-situ workers contracting COVID. So that is the position today. And the main challenge is the workers, they feel they want to go back to their home. We have been trying to explain them that घर जाके क्या करने वाले हो आप, आप यहाँ सुरक्षित हो और वहाँ आपका क्या हाल होने वाला पता नहीं है. But then the government is over there, UP, BR, all of them, they are making it a big political issue actually. And I think I appeal to the politicians that human life is non-political issue. Okay, just as we are fighting COVID, like the whole nation together is fighting. Same way with these migrant laborers, they are very innocent. उनको आप थोड़ा भी बता दो तो वो एंगल से सोचने लग जाते हैं. So I think all of us should make an appeal to them and that भाई जहाँ हो आप safe हो and continue to working where you are. अच्छा कमा के जाओ. I gave a talk other day to my site in situ workers. मतलब आप अपने घर पे यूपी बिहार जाओगे अच्छी बात है पर अपने माँ बहन को सबको बताओ कि मैं पतरे के शेड में वहां रुकूंगा 14 दिन. घर से निकलते वक्त घर पहुंचते पहुंचते मैं और किससे मिलूंगा मुझे पता नहीं है. वहाँ किस तरह का टॉयलेट होगा, किस तरह का खाना मिलेगा. यहाँ पे तो आप 1.5 महीने से हो, आपको किसी को कुछ नहीं हुआ है, किसी को कोविड हुआ नहीं है, आप यहाँ पे सेफ हो, सिक्योर हो. So this is the position today, Jayashree.
I'll go to Suresh Hari. In Karnataka, we've seen that the builders have actually gone to the CM. The CM did try to intervene, but it, like Nayan Shah said, it just become a political issue, sending workers back. So, one is, what is the status of the workers in Karnataka, and secondly, explain some of the challenges that you're facing in restarting work. Work has stopped for about 45 days, right?
Yeah. And see, as regard the workers, it is not that we wanted all the workers to be held back or not. We wanted by reasoning out. See, the migrant laborers, what they will do, all these days they were there in the various sites. Those who were part of our site, we have taken care of them. In the government was also taken care of them very well. Camps were done, labor contractors, wherever they were housed. The government labor department has taken care of feeding them, and also direct benefit transfers have been effected to all those registered laborers. In fact, the labor department came online with us. We had a meeting, Zoom meeting in between, to ensure that new registration also done. They are very proactive and they have done a good job. What we suggested was, apart from various demands of the industry on how the lockdown easing and post situation where the economy has to kickstart, we need a lot of concessional activities. In one of the discussion was, if the laborers are sent off, it's creating two-pronged strategy. One is, see, the laborers are not only construction labor; they may be other industrial laborers also. They are connected to textile industry, other manufacturing industries. They are odd job doers. They are in these camps. Now, if they go at this stage, many of them will not come back. Second, they will be quarantined for 15 days and they don't know what they are heading for. We need to counsel them before taking this step of announcing all of you can go. In fact, the communication was wrongly said that those who want to can go. It was clarified by the central government that it is for those who have emergency and who need a pressing demand to go, please file your detail. It is nobody, see, these are not the days of bonded labor where we can hold labor and say, hold them by throat and say, you have to sit here. They will not. It is not our right at all, nor their right to remain in place where, in fact, they have a habit of going every periodic trips to their native places. What we suggest is when the situation eases, definitely they are going to take their trip. At that time, they'll be much more comfortable. They will have something to go back and enjoy. Now they don't know where they are heading for 15 days quarantine. When they go, what are the ailments they are going to catch? They were safe here. Now they reach there, what they are going to do? Many of them will not come back. What job they can find? They are used to particular skill set which they are executing here because the job is here, they were here. This is one part of the thing. Other challenges are all material movement and things have started now. The government is doing, but for us to start, unless the movement of initially the government said in situ, you can do whatever, whoever is in the site, you do your work. Yes, we can do for 2-3 weeks. Post that, it will be a challenge. We need material movement, we need labor movement because most of the laborers are not housed in our site itself. They may be part of the labor camp. We need to make the move. Government understood this. They gave a clear direction, including police commissioner giving a direction to all the zone officers that ensure labor movement between the allowed time of morning 7 to night 7 for their work related activities is ensured smooth. Don't harass them. This is a clear direction. Government is very proactive. In fact, we are going to discuss with the government on various other measures we need. These are the some of the many challenges. Of course, the materials have to move, start moving. Cement prices exorbitantly went up suddenly. There is no reason. We called the industries minister. He reasoned out with the cement manufacturers. We said there is no need for 40-50% hike when there is no demand at all. There is no demand. We want the material now. Now the demand is increasing. They cannot increase the price. They have been producing. So they have been reasoned out. Industry ministers are reasoned out to them and said material costs have to be at level because this is the time we need to balance our cost and ensure that our operation kickstart. It is a challenge of sort. One is ideal working. Our customers have to be satisfied who have booked their places. We need to ensure that their process is initiated. They have confidence building exercise. So these are some of the challenges we are facing. We will overcome, but we need a lot of support from the government on this.
Right. Sudeep, already the government has, there has been a slew of policies which clearly indicates whether it is the RERAs, whether it is the central government, state governments, they have actually ensured that the construction should move because I suppose 6% of the GDP is not something to be sneezed at, right?
Yes, construction has to move. There is no iota of doubt, and that is why the government started with on-site utilization of the labor. That was the demand made by the industry from the very beginning. That if there is no problem, even during lockdown, even at the very early stage, I remember people from NAREDCO and others were representing to the government. Let people be deployed in work if there is no issue on the site. Once it is, it has two effects. One is the morale becomes very high, and idle brain does not. You see, if people are free and idle, then they will have a lot of issues to discuss and unwarranted issues to discuss. And as has been rightly pointed by Mr. Suresh and Mr. Nayan Shah, that they do not know. Nobody is training them. People are doing politics, unnecessary politics, which is absolutely not worth it. Because people need to be meaningfully employed. What will they do if they go home? Suppose if they do go home and they have nothing else to do, it will only add to the law and order problem in that state. There is no joy in doing all these things. Rather, I would say slowly and steadily, it should be opened up. You see, there has been sufficient amount of lockdown with all checks and balances in place. I have seen what UP government has come out with a sort of a circular, and if I remember correctly, they said that when people come back, people from other states, they will be quarantined for 14 days. Then deployment, how it will be, how workplace will be sanitized. I think work should move on because please understand, in the real estate sector, if you are talking about residential projects or a commercial project that comes under RERA, even RERA authority under the Act cannot extend the period of force majeure beyond the period of 1 year. They don't have the power. Now they have done in most of the states for 3 months, but beyond 1 year they don't have the power. Again, although this has been described as coming under natural calamity, and these are all questions that will arise. You see, so we will need to be very mindful that construction needs to start. And I think the NGOs, the government themselves, and there should be through television and other process. I think we should educate labor class. And I think what used to happen when you you see what this is you'll have to think out of the box. You may have to organize social drama. The NGOs and people who do street dramas, they need to be entertained also. It is not about training them. Entertainment, and through entertainment educating them. That is how it will also work. So you will have to devise many policies of not only orally telling them, but also engaging them through entertainment, maybe through street dramas, doing drama in their camp, and in imparting knowledge to them that this is not good. Maybe what you can also think about, and subject to what the other panelists think, if a person is from Bengal or Orissa or UP, maybe a politician who is mindful that there needs to be a constructive work, what we call sustainable way of thinking. So those politicians may be brought if a person is spoken by a native in their native tongue and a language they understand, then it will be very, very helpful. But again, there are travel restrictions. Whether that is at all feasible, I do not know. But again, locally also there would be important, and the local leaders, trade union leaders, or people who are the heads of the, they need to be convinced. They need to be educated. So that is how it will work. This is my
Right.
view, of course.
Right. This is as far as the labor issue is concerned, of course, a very, very major issue which the entire industry is grappling with. But Sudeep, I want to come to you to the next level of problems, which means that there were many contracts in place. When you do a construction project, there are many contracts in place. With this sudden break and a gradual easing into the business, there will be many violations of contract, right? How does that get resolved? Whether it is with material suppliers, with payments to vendors, to financial institutions, lots of payouts to be done. Some 3-month easing has been done, but is there some process that needs to be set in place? Because like you did with the labor, if you don't set a process in place and mindlessly go into something, you are going to hit a wall. So help me understand the legal aspects of contracts
Okay.
and so.
So in the real estate part, there would be various type of contracting. One is contracting with the buyers of the real estate property if there is a sale. Other is leasing or licensing of real estate properties. The third point will be with the contractors. Now I'll start with the contractors as such. Now, if you see the contractors, there will be a force majeure clause inbuilt in the contract in most cases. And there will also be a change in law generally. Some contracts, even major contracts, do not have change in law provision. Now, the issue is like this. One will have to be realistic. If people want to say that I will follow the contract, now this is a force majeure condition, and I will not support you in this case. Now, ultimately, somebody will have to bear the brunt of this whole story.
Yeah.
Cash will have to come from somewhere, right? The employer over here, maybe the developer will say, why should I bear it? I have given a lump sum turnkey contract or an item rate contract. I am not going to. I will look specifically into the contract and whether I am bound by it to pay. What are the costs that will be incurred? Costs will be incurred towards, for a developer, the cost will be towards any additional payment that has been made to the laborer, cost of increase in the value of construction goods. Just now, Mr. Suresh Hari pointed out on the cost of cement. Then there would be a delay component, if at all it is to be done. Now, as far as the delay component payable to anybody, the local warehouse
I'm sorry, we've lost you here. Your connection is broken.
come up with a 3 months moratorium. Any ultimate
Could you
hello,
say that again, Sudeep? We lost a connection with you.
Now, have you? Do you have me? Hello. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
So you see
Yes,
now,
we can.
as I said that there will be three types of impact on a developer of real estate. Number one is I'm talking about real estate as such. It can apply to others also. One is if there is a delay and the delay is attributable to the developer and the buyer of the property or person who will be leasing the property, he will have a right to claim compensation. So that to a certain extent has been taken over by taken into consideration by the now, as far as private contracts are concerned, contracts are concerned, that is where, say, a developer is building a mall and he said, I will give you possession by such and such date, and he could not, then that is contractual. That has to be renegotiated. We come to the labor component of it. On the labor component of it, if the developer has to pay additional amount, now the question is, who will bear the additional payment that was to be made? We have seen that there was a directive to make payment. Then we have seen circulars from the central government which says it is a moral obligation to make payment. Now there are very tricky questions that arises over here, that when the first circular came in and payment was required to be made and it was not clarified, it was a moral obligation, whose responsibility? The developer will say, I will not pay anything to the contractor. The contractor will say, you are the principal employer. Now, if you go into a battle on this, you had it, because the time, and when contractor will not be able to restart work, he will not want to restart work. I think the quick resolution is to solve it. This is too minuscule, maybe according to me, too minuscule an issue to be dealt with, to fight over and delay the whole project. Or people share the risk and responsibility, make an application, because somebody ultimately will have to bear the, or there has to be a state support. That is the most critical thing, or there has to be clarity. I
Well,
said there are 2 points that needs to come in. One is the force majeure clause, and if the contract has a change in law clause, then the change in law clause. Because whether it will be construed to be a change in law clause. For the first part, when it was not a moral obligation, but the obligation arises out of circulars and notification issued pursuant to an act. So all these nuances, but again, I am telling you, too much of legality will not solve this problem. This is a human problem, needs to be solved in a human and an intelligent way, not in a peculiarly legalistic way.
sure. I'm going to go to the two guys who are on the ground actually. Nayan Shah, when there are contract obligations which will be violated because of this sudden termination and lockdown, how do you deal with those? Sudeep
Yes,
says
I
it's
will not talk about just, I will add, not only violation, there would be an burden,
yes,
additional burden, which
absolutely.
may be, and how do we tackle that? That is that not only a breach of obligation, but there may be an onerous obligation.
That's right. Nayan Shah.
Yeah, Jayshree, I think it's not about violation per se. Violation would be something like when I'm breaking the law.
That's right.
Am I right, Sudeep? I think here the whole issue is the contract has two parties.
You're perfectly right.
Yeah, giver and the taker. Or somebody who has to deliver and somebody who has to take the service.
Right.
So in that, what I feel is that both parties are likely to understand. Say, for example, I am a developer. Now, I have four kinds of obligations. Number one is the obligation to the planning authority, to the regulator, RERA, stuff like that. Then I have an obligation towards the flat purchasers. I have an obligation towards the contractors, and I have an obligation towards my employees and other stakeholders. So let us look at all the four of them. And
Right.
it would be my obligation towards the financial institution in terms to pay interest EMI. Now let's look at interest EMI. There, the Reserve Bank has made the things quite easy by announcing a 3 month moratorium, and I think there is going to be a 6 month moratorium, 3 months more also, that is likely to come. So that I think has been by and large resolved. In the sense that as of now, there is no great tension on it. Yeah, there are some technical issues coming. Somebody is saying that your money was due on 1st of June. I'll give you only 2 months. Instead of 2 months, I'll give you 3 months. All that is very, but the larger box, I think everything is comfortable as of now. Let us come to my obligation to the planning authority and to the RERA regulator. Now, RERA has already announced that if, let's say, Mayfair had to give a occupation certificate and possession to the customers on 30th April, right? And the lockdown was declared on 15th of March. They have said automatic extension of 45 days is already given. So they have also resolved that. Coming to my contractors, they also understand, and I also understand. When there is no permission to start the work, how can that part, those 45 days or 60 days, be part of the delivery period? So let's say he was supposed to give me the fifth slab by 31st March. Automatically that gets extended because of the force majeure situation. Sudeep, regarding the financial institution, one thing that I seriously want you to examine: can a developer say or a flat purchaser say that he wants a waiver of interest due to force majeure? See, this is an act of God that has come maybe once in 100 years. I'm asking a very, very basic question, Sudeep ji.
Now,
Can I,
let
can I
me again.
let me articulate my question? Can go back to his bank or financial institution to say that my entire operation was shut. I just couldn't do any business. Hence, the period of the lockdown, the interest should not be charged to me. See, people are saying मैं rent नहीं दूंगा, मैं ये नहीं करूंगा, मैं at the same time I'm supposed to give the money to my salary. So can I take this stand? Second question is, let us say that the lockdown is lifted on 30th of June. Moratorium is over on 31st of July. But I'm still not able to take off because I have been a sick patient from last 4 months and I'm not able to take off. And I have a huge obligation coming on 30th August and I'm declared an NPA. Can I say that because of force measure, you cannot declare me NPA or you need to give me more time for me to perform? These are two fundamental questions which nobody has yet replied to me.
Okay, I will explain to you. I will explain to you. Now, whenever you are talking about force majeure in a contract, you have a contractual obligation with the bank, right?
Right.
Now, one will have to see what is your in the contract itself. You will have allocated risk that in the happening of A, B, C, D event, I did not perform my obligation. If your contract provides that on the happening of an event, now let me tell you, on the happening of a particular event, you did not perform your obligation, then you need not perform your obligation, right? So contract is paramount. It trumps everything. Now it comes. Now, if you may talk about impossibility of performance. It is impossible to perform. That is where the contract becomes completely void. It is not required to be performed. Now that is another angle, and the bar is very high over there. Now let me also tell you, merely because an obligation has become onerous and you have not been able to perform because it is very difficult for you to perform, that does not make it a force majeure condition at all. Right? For example, you see, while you are, for example, I'll give you, there was difficulty in using the Suez Canal at a particular time, and the goods were to go to a particular place in Africa. The charter party was unable to, the ship owners were unable to use the Suez Canal. The courts in England held no, that is not a ground for claiming port majeure. You could have used something else. You could have done something else merely because when you have larger, it is a bigger, it will require you to spend more money, then spend more money. It is merely because it become onerous, it will not allow you to claim force majeure. That apart. Again, the second argument bank will say is I have taken fixed deposit from my customer and I have to pay them interest. Will I be getting a relief in paying interest for that period? Then why should I pass it on? But sir, that is another matter. This is a matter of argument. Your contract will say whether you are required or whether you can claim a remission from payment of interest during that period. Nothing else. It will be there. But the only argument, if at all you have any, that would be that you see there was a government directive and I could not go do, and government directive has come by virtue of not its own volition. They have done this directive pursuant to various acts. And if they have done, it has the force of law. And if it is the force of law, and if your contract is silent, maybe you have an arguable piece on that point, but not on the force majeure condition as such. Maybe until unless your contract allows you.
Sudeep, I'm going to take this one step further and ask the developers have a serious problem. They should not become a non-performing asset. Otherwise, raising resources to complete the project is going to be a problem. But what about the consumer? Does the same logic apply to the consumer? Because he's also not getting his, it has been deferred, not waived. So the consumer also continues to pay his interest. He's also asking the same thing. Can I not have this interest burden on me? And the logic of the banks is the same. We have to.
I will have to cater to that. Now, the question is there, therefore, what I am trying to say is very simple. Either then those money that they are, the bank has the developer drawn that money. The developer has not drawn that money. But again, the whole problem is we will have to then set the clock back for everybody. Then bank does not pay interest to for 3 months to its depositors, and that they does not claim interest. That is the only way it will work. Otherwise, how is it? How is it? Where will the bank come from and say that I will be required to pay interest and I will not charge interest? That would be the key issue. So it's a matter of what is public good and what is required to be done. And you see, if there is a, it is like, you see, then the government should say that, there would be, instead of levying income tax, maybe there would be a waiver of pay, or the banks will not be required to pay interest on investments. Maybe that is the solution. I do not know what the solution would be. But
The
again,
solution actually has not come out, but it's good to raise these issues because there are many people down the line, the consumer, the vendor, the contractor, the developer, everybody has the same problem because work stops suddenly. And it is a long period of work, and restarting is not going to be like putting on a switch. The process takes a while, right? And that's issue that you're going to face. Actually, I'm going to take this to Suresh Hari and ask that when you restart construction, one is this issue of finance. Are you now able to get enough finance? Do you have enough finance in hand to restart your work, or is there a problem? I'm not talking about you specifically, but the industry. When the work stopped, you've looked after your labor, and you have to restart work. Do you have enough finance in hand? Is what the government given you enough?
It's a very $1 million question actually, because the no finance is enough for us to be on a normal course.
Right.
Having said that, let me be honest about it. See, these 2 months or 3 months, whatever is the lockdown period, that depending on the place of your stay, Bangalore, okay, 1.5 months has been a long stay. We have been negotiating with the various financial institutions. RBI has taken certain step on reduction. And in fact, I couldn't hear the others talk because of the lion. The customer also equally taken a hit. I heard you saying that. So it
Yes.
is a equal reset for everybody. We need to see those who have a house in order, the finances are in order. We have a scope to recover from that and come forward, because if our in-house is properly managed, there are going to be a lot of in-house corrections, cost saving measures have to be put in place. We have had a lot of discussion on what are the economic measures we need to take. These are something way forward. It is a mindset of everybody. Yeah, we have to change our approach to the whole way how we handle and execute our project itself now, because it is not specific to India. It's a global scene now. We need to look at how we finish our project, and there is going to be a little realignment on the project, what we have planned and what we need to deliver now at the end. Their customer choices are changing now, very rapidly changing. Overnight, they are changing their preferences. We need to adhere to that. So we have to bridge the gap, and those who are had their in-house strong. There are many corporates among the builders fraternity who have a solid financial support. They have invested prudentially. Thank God the RERA was in place, so our finances were not spread very well. We should thank the RERA for that, because we are not able to take that fund. And normally, what the tendency is to invest in real estate, land, so that we can expand our scope. That scope has been cut almost more than a year now. So to that extent, the builders are protected to a greater extent. I'm sure we'll come out of it, but the RBI and the government has to come out with much more easier option. In fact, before this lockdown came and COVID came, the stress asset fund was in place, but that that had lot of tax attached to it, not attached to it. It was not easily implementable. So we need to look at how these type of funds that have been launched are made easy for people who are genuinely need the resetting and restarting of their industries and kickstart, because the industry needs at least 1 or 2 quarters for it to come to normal level. When it comes to normal level and the demand picks up, there's so many indicators. You also have spoken about it. All the financial analysts talk about it, that overall the Indian economy sees a better action once this COVID is off, and due to various other factors, how far it is going to come true or not, we wish that everybody is happy, not about that, but let the COVID be over and all settle, humanity succeeds. And if we have better opportunity in the market, the Indian real estate is one of the biggest beneficiary in this process. Real estate, there is housing for all is a 2025 dream, still can be achieved only if we kickstart with better incentive from the government side. Government need to be, they are proactive, they need to be much more proactive in giving concession, the financial requirement. Banks are having funds. Banks, not that they don't have funds, banks have funds. They have to invest. They have to open up their door, make some leeways on certain assessment, how to evaluate the property, come out with a different guidance, because everything has to be reset, including labor policies. Everything has to be reset for us to move
Like
forward.
I like what you're saying, and I would like you to actually come out with what has to be reset. The industry has been reset, the system has been reset. So you have to now. There are many things, like you said, the labor policy itself has to be reset. The way the banks lend has to restart. The way your various contracts operate, the your payment terms back to your lending institutions have to be reset. So where does this begin, and has this process begun? As CREDAI, have you people started thinking of these for the industry itself?
Certainly, CREDAI at national level has been discussing this threadbare. We are in discussion with the government. See, the reset has to be really on table. The government has to understand which they have today. This is a phenomenon which nobody expected.
Right.
Earlier also, when the endemic came, the information age was not there, so people were in the bind. They don't know how to progress. It took a lot of time. Now, with so much of information during the whole period of crisis, also we are debating, we have to act on it as fast as possible. It has a two-pronged strategy. One is the pandemic, let those who are handling, let them handle it. The economic situation, those who are handling, focus on it. Call all the industries connected, discuss, including the loan waiver scheme, the interest, the waiver scheme. In fact, we need an interest holiday for some time, even to a greater extent, if you ask. I know there is a loss. If industry is in a loss, the government also is in a loss. But if industry goes down into back, the government is completely shut. So the last has to be reset. Let us think we are starting from scratch. We have to start from scratch and think at that level. The loss is on what we have gained earlier. Let us forget all that. Let us not worry about what we have lost. We have to start afresh, including the investors who have pumped in the money. They might have lost money. The share market, you saw, it has lost about 25-30% already. I don't know where it is going to bottom out. So everybody is on that scope of what is going to be the future. We need to really work. The economists have to sit and put before the government and the industry, these are your takes. The industry need to take this minimum beating. The government has to take this minimum beating. There are a lot of welfare measures, unnecessary welfare measures have to be cut. I told about labor policies. We are multiple labor policies which are in locked. In fact, the cess fund, 70,000 crore are unutilized. That at least could be deployed now in taking care of the labor.
I
You should
think
have a
10% of that for that registered workers, paying the registered workers, about
correct.
percent of that fund has been utilized for that.
Yes, much more is available state-wise. See, the problem is registration. There are various labor laws that come in cross purpose. You have PF law, you have ESI law, then the cess board. Ultimately, the benefit, you need a national registry of labor, simplified one law. A labor working in Tumkur or Timbuktu or Tibet should be able to get the same benefit across. When he moves there, he should be able to draw. Let us create that platform. India is IT capital. Let us create a capital of idea of one ID for them. They are able to draw that benefit, and let us all pay one benefit for them. We are ready to pay. Fix that. Don't make multiple of taxes. The government has to seriously think, trim down all these unwanted taxes which are not serving any purpose. The end beneficiary is not getting. The funds are getting piled up. In fact, this cess fund got accumulated. Supreme Court came out with the direction. Do you need this cess fund? Is the direction. Thank God, because of the judiciary, the fund were not utilized. Thank God. But it is not the purpose. We want it to be used. All our industry leaders are telling we have been paying down. When we start our plan itself, we give our cess fund, and it is never used for on our workers. This is the time to use it and deploy that on workers who are in the field, construction workers. Similarly, for the other industry, the reset has to be.
Two things you've said about the labor. You said a national registry of construction labor and a unified system of being able to give benefits to anyone who's registered, right?
Correct, correct.
Now I'm going to go to Nayan Shah. This is the first time that the government announced that if your labor is registered, the labor can get that benefit, right? Before, I don't remember hearing this before. As an industry, are you now making an effort to make sure that labor is registered on your site? And is it even possible? This is very transient labor. So is it possible for you to create that labor registry? What needs to be done?
I think, Jayashree, this is a very, very important and relevant question. I completely agree with Mr. Suresh Hari. The Maharashtra government has been very, very proactive. Immediately within a week or 10 days of the lockdown, the Labour Commissioner's office called us up, the Labour Secretary's office called us up, and said that irrespective of whether the construction worker is registered or not registered, they told CREDA MCHI that all we want you to do is to give on your letterhead that, say, for example, on the site of a builder ABC, there are 126 workers. These are their names. This is their Aadhaar cards. And you pay them 55. And then later on today, even remove that also. And they started giving food. And they said that the moment the lockdown is open, we will register them. And I think now each and every developer contractor has realized, even the labor has realized that it makes big sense to register because the health insurance, accident, so many other benefits come if you are registered.
So they registered to a developer, to a project.
No, to the government. To the government.
To the government.
So then, so that Mason can work on Suresh's site anywhere, as he said, the national registry. So every state will have a registry. But, Jayashree, in this whole pandemic times, I have a very fundamental point that I want to put before everybody, if you permit me, for a couple of minutes.
Sure.
See, basically, what has happened today? On one side, you have the government who is waiting and listening and not giving any major announcements for most of the sections of the industry or of the country. And we have industrialists, everybody crying out that I need help. I think there is a fundamental issue in our country. The government doesn't believe the people, and the people expect more than what is expected from the government. India basically is a country of people, of rule breakers. If you tell a person that you do social distancing, he says, "Koi dekhta nahi hai na, to koi baat nahi." For an industrialist also, for him to basically decide not to repay the loan is very easy for him. Let us accept this reality today. Culture and the attitude of the people around. Even if it comes to government, there is a element of rent seeking, that goes on generally. एक general culture की बात करता हूँ. I think the time has come for all of us as Indians to really see within ourselves that why is it that I have such a large divide that the giver and the taker, they don't have, that honesty between themselves. And I feel that, unless this gap doesn't, resolve, this feeling of मुझे कुछ मिला नहीं और वो कहते हैं मैं तेरे को तू देने के लायक नहीं है. You see, this is the fundamental point that is there today, Jayashree.
I agree.
We need to address together.
And this, let me take it one step further. It is something that the developers suffer because they pay they collect EDC, IDCs, they collect from the consumers. In many cases, they are not paid. If they are paid, that money is not utilized in those localities to provide the basic services. There are, the lapses. It's okay to have lapses, whether it is at the government and the city government, the state government, the central government. Developers can take money, not pay, not deliver the goods on time. That has also been seen. So this fundamental lack of being able to take money and then deliver the goods, or give the services that are promised. So what Nayan Shah is saying is very, very important. If we reset, can we reset this culture of accountability?
Exactly.
You've taken service, can you be accountable for that service, so that if you had to give a leeway, you know where to give the leeway. Today, there's so much compounding of errors that you're not sure how to give this.
Right.
So there are legal solutions somewhere here.
So, but let me tell you, there was this is the first time after many years I have heard so vocally and clearly as Mr. Nayan Shah has spoken, and about our culture and both how the government is behaving and how the expectations, there's a mismatch between government's behavior and human and citizens' expectation. I also like the way Mr. Suresh Hari has actually pointed out the requirement of rationalizing our laws, and particularly labor laws, for the benefit. What I you see, it is very difficult for me to say how the government will behave, but in Maharashtra there is an act which you can force government officers into performance, and you can actually take them to task. But I think that you see, all these are not matters of regulation, but it is a matter of learning and understanding, and keeping politics aside. But this is something which is very cultural. And how do you say? Because what Mr. Shah has just now laid down, it is extremely difficult. You see, actually, in reality, the government thinks this is a fluent industry, and why do I do anything for them? And they have in the past done this, that, and the other. They are not entitled to anything. Now, to my mind, the government will not look at real estate industry as a real estate industry. Instead, it has to look at the construction industry as such. Be it whether it is the construction workers and construction related activities, and it will not be different for a residential project as opposed to building a petrochemical plant. The matter is the same. The issues will be the same. It cannot be different. Now the question is, what will happen? Over here, it touches everybody. Why the government needs to look at this? It touches the developer. If the developer is not there, the laborers are not there, and at the amount of contribution it makes to GDP, the real estate industry, plus it looks after the skilled and unskilled labor, is huge. Coupled with the fact that so many people have stakes in the real estate industry, common man like you and me have stakes in the real estate industry. Now we have seen that only making laws will not help, but there will have to be a political will. Before RERA, there was anarchy. The government has come up with RERA. The government will have to come up with something really as sophisticated. As I have said always before, in all shows and in all forums, I have also suffered in my own personal capacity as a home buyer. But I believe sending promoters or developers to jail is no solution, but to get the product is important. One will need one. You see, instead of me suffering for 8 years in not getting a house, it is better that I pay a 5% more or 10% more and get it quickly. If there has been, you see, there has to be some logic to this entire problem. So some solution to this entire problem. I think government should think in a very different way.
In
And
fact, if you look at what happened with RERA, RERA was a reset. We reset the industry with RERA. COVID is another reset. We've reset the industry again, saying that in a tremendous calamity, how can you now get it back again? Because it is an economic indicator industry. In most countries, there are economic vital stats about the real estate industry because it contributes so heavily to the GDP. Now I'm going to pick up what you said, that ultimately it's all about delivery, right? How can you start delivering? And now I'm going to go back to the two industry guys. What are the 4 or 5 things that you can do so that you will have to speed up construction? It's not that you say that I'll work at the same pace that I worked earlier, because you need to get over this. So will it be technology? Will it be better planning and design? Suresh Hari, you said that the consumers' requirements have changed suddenly overnight. So is it being very agile that is important for you to get this industry back on track?
Yeah, see, it is a challenge of sort. We have to bridge it. This is a transition stage. The reset, certainly, the RERA, as you said rightly, the first reset. Immediately, this has come in. This is an unknown reset, but this is a humanity reset. That's what I can say. It's a humanity reset. The mind change is on everybody. The developer, industrialists, the government, the workers, the buyers, everybody, their preferences, choices are changing. Now, what we can do, what we cannot do are two different aspects. We have to bridge this. There are ways we can address this issue. The technology, as you said, we are already in discussion with how do we economize with the resources available on hand now.
Sure.
We are looking at, they may be looking at the import substitute. What are the alternates we are looking at? What are the speeder way of, see, this industry is a brick and mortar industry. Now the mindset has to change now. The conventional brick and mortar, which takes that 21 days curing, that one floor after floor, all these will also change, because the buyer is looking at how fast he can move in.
Sure.
Second is, any of the buyer, the utilization space is going to be post-COVID. What are the need of is environmental, is hygienic requirement, is access requirement, is near to the facilities that are available. So maybe we may have to look at additional creation of facilities also. Somewhere removal of certain facilities. Like for example, if you take a swimming pool has become one of the worst place to visit now.
Yeah.
I don't know how it is going to evolve itself after another, when the COVID is over, whether swimming pool is going to be available even or not. So these are the things, there are a lot of resets are happening. We have to do it. We have a resolve. The industry knows what the customer prefers. Of course, what we have planned, which are in the advanced stage of position, we need to be reset to the level what we can do. There
Right.
are certain things on the planning board where we need to completely change. It is worth doing it now than doing off through and getting into a mess of demand and supply mismatch. So we have to, industry has the grit, industry has the knowledge, the planners have idea to do it, and there are resources available. The earth is filled with roses. India has enough and more resources to address these issues. We have a capacity. Your team builders are there, your engineers are there, technocrats are there. Faster way of doing product is there. Sustainable products are available. Looking at hygienic environment which encompasses everything, neighborhood which is self-sufficient, is what is going to be the future. I'm sure the each industry, the resident may be there, the facilitation industry may be there, the commercial space will be there. We all know the challenges. How much of it is going to be work from home, work from office? All cannot be work from. The real hardcore industries are there. You cannot sit. Even for our industry, work from home doesn't work. You have to be on site. You have to be on hand working there. So there are demand. The housing demand will be there. The space demand will be there. We will also rework. What has been hired all these days are spaced taken all these days, maybe there will be little changes happening. But once this COVID is off, if the community believes that is no more a threat, everything will be back to old. But let us hope that old comes. Let us hope that old comes. That is what that the Providence has to do that.
Nayan Shah, when consumers come to you and ask, you know that the consumers, the efficacy of their payments is today under challenge. If somebody has lost a job, got a salary cut, 20-30% salary cut, and says that, look, I booked a 3 BHK with you, but now I need to scale down. I do need the house, but maybe if I can pick up a smaller house or have a easier payment term, will the industry work with the consumer? I think you need to bring your laptop closer. Too much
Sorry.
heads. Yeah,
Sorry.
that's much better.
Okay. Jayashree, I think as far as we are concerned, we are absolutely compassionate and empathize with all our consumers. And I think so is the case with each and every developer. And I have no doubt that if any consumer were to come to us to say, I have a difficulty in payment, my next question to him will be, how much time do you want to make the payment after? Which way can you make it comfortable to you? What are the difficulties you have? In fact, we have started reaching out to all our customers and actually involving them into a very personal discussions. And you will not believe, Jayashree, some of them have cried on the phone. Some of them have actually cried on the phone to tell us that, we were absolutely worried, कि how will we talk to you? I would urge each and every developer, channel partner to please speak to the consumer, speak to him honestly, believe in them. Maybe 100 में से 2 मिलेगा भी जो आपका डिसएडवांटेज भी लेगा
हाँ.
आपका. उसके पास पैसा है फिर भी वो आपसे टाइम मांगेगा. ऐसा भी होता है लाइफ में. But basically, if you trust the guy, everybody wants a home. किसको घर नहीं चाहिए, रोटी कपड़ा मकान किसको नहीं चाहिए, सबको चाहिए. We have to stand by with them. So I think that I would reply this question. But Jayashree, again, this point is not going out of my mind. Post-COVID, there is going to be a fundamental cultural change which I see coming in the country today, where people will become more compliant. I feel so.
Yeah.
People will be more honest. There will be a whole move everywhere, like Mr. Suresh Hari said, rationalization of laws, where few laws have better compliance and better governance, rather than having 50 laws and having no governance and everybody breaking, few laws, rationalized laws, better governance. And as a result of that, what will happen is that what you see in the developed countries or even some of the underdeveloped countries, the government believed the people. I know you are in trouble. Give me your bank account. I'm sending you next 3 months' wages.
Yeah.
And they are sure that the employer is going to give the money to the employee. He's not going to give the money back with him. So I think this fundamental change is likely to come. Even the productivity, efficiency of all the stakeholders. If I have a boss, I will try and ask my boss, sir, what is it that I should be doing that I get 10 out of 10 when my KRA comes? So this is the change that I see that is going to happen because everybody is realizing now everything is going to be online. Meeting personally is going to reduce. So everybody's performance will be measured and easily be understood. So this will lead to a dramatic jump in the economy after a year, because productivity has to increase for the economic rate to grow. So this is my small take. May not be replying exactly to your question, but I thought very relevant for us.
Absolutely. And Sudeep Malik, when the developer and the buyer, they negotiate with each other on compassionate grounds, on whichever grounds, and they finally reset the terms. Does the contract have to be revised? There is a builder-buyer agreement, and RERA can only implement what is on the contract, right?
Yes, it has to be revised.
Buyers have to go and revise contracts with developers, and are the developers doing so?
Yes, the contract will have to be revised. If there are new terms, then it will have to be revised to that extent. And it needs to be filed with the RERA if there is a requirement to file with RERA.
Is Suresh Hari, Nayan Shah, are you guys thinking of how to revise contracts? Because it's going to be a huge task, right? When you renegotiate with your consumers, and if you have to renegotiate builder buyer agreements which have been in force for, say, let's say 2-3 years, it's going to be a tremendous job. Are you putting something in place to handle that?
We have to do this because the legal advice has to be taken. Complete revision may be a challenge of sort. It depends on what stage of the contract we are at this position. There are positions where there is a minor development need to be done that can be done without major structural changes on the contract existing. But if it is going to be at a major level, alterations or the changes that we need to reset, that requires a complete change because RERA demands our contracts are also with them. So we need to look at it. It involves cost. It may be a cost plus for the customer. It may be a cost plus for the industry. So we need to balance it also. If the customer is ready to bear that cost plus, definitely we are willing to do that. If it is going to be a cost plus for us, we need to see how much plus we can take. It has to be case to case and project to project. We need to evolve this and take it further.
Sure. I'm going to pick up a few queries.
I will be
Yeah.
one mechanism would be to discuss with two-thirds of the, if there is a buyers association or a group of buyers, maybe a better option would be to speak with a committee of buyers than individually. Then it becomes very difficult to and wherever there is a intervention of RERA required, maybe that would also be a good idea.
In fact, that's what I was going to say, that having started this discussion, we are going to definitely go back to the buyers associations and the RERAs to figure out whether they have anything to add to this conversation and how this process can be streamlined.
But Jayashree, basically, one will have to deal with the buyers with a lot of compassion and empathy. That is what my feeling is.
Yes.
Because this has been a very unusual situation. And if we look to that, no, 90% of the issues resolve there ourselves. And then it's matter of putting it down into paper, and doing it. This is my basic fundamental point, Be compassionate and empathic. The laws will, automatically everything will fall in place.
And I'm going to pick up a few queries that have come on the while we were discussing. There is, can buyers invoke force majeure? Is it anywhere in a builder buy agreement? It's not, right? Sudeep?
Please come again. I've lost that question.
Can buyers invoke force majeure? Is it anywhere in a builder buyer agreement?
No, but the question is, buyer cannot invoke any force majeure over here. If the buyers were required to pay and the builder has delivered, say it will be in accordance with various phases. Now, if the builder has developed up to a particular phase, where is the question of buyer not paying? Because there is if the buyer has not been able to pay because of the COVID situation, he cannot access his bank account, he has not been able to pay, that does not mean that he will be exempted from making the payment. Maybe the developer will not charge that interest component for that period, and that I fully appreciate and understand. To that extent, a buyer may claim force majeure. But to the extent of saying that I am going to defer my payment until and unless there is a failure by the developer, I don't think buyer will be.
Then when can we expect construction? This is Nayan Shah for you. When can we expect construction work to start in Mumbai? And what do you do when construction starts? What measures should we take to make sure that it starts and goes on at the same pace it was earlier or faster?
So, Jayashree, the government of Maharashtra, the government of India, and the corporation has laid down SOPs on sanitization and stuff like that. So, first, those hygiene things need to be at place at the site for the work to begin. Second is that all the in situ workers need to work in such a manner that there is, as far as possible, social distancing possible. But because they have been living at the construction site together and none of them have contracted COVID, so it's not so important. Like in our family, in our home, when we sit for dinner, we don't maintain social distancing. We sit because all of us know that we are safe to that extent. Then there is bound to be some delay in the construction for a temporary period. Just as when you take a flight from Bombay to Delhi, SpiceJet tells you it will take 2 hours, but they know that actually takes 1 hour 45 minutes. They factor 15 minutes as it is into that flight time. So every developer has factored about 10 to 15% of the time in the construction schedule. So I think we can recover that. That's point number three. And point number four, all the contractors also have major overheads with them, whether it's a petty works contractor or a large contractor like L&T. They also, the moment the lockdown opens, will work day and night. In fact, CREDA MCHI has approached the government, the BMC, that for a period post monsoon, you allow us to work the site for 24 hours. So in the night, after 10 o'clock till 8 o'clock, we will not do work which involves noise, but within the home, within the flat, let's say tiling, internal plastering, plumbing, electrical work, which does not involve any lift work, all that you allow us to do. Second thing that we are going to tell the corporation is that you allow us to continue with our construction work, even if I have not got the full CC or without waiting for formal commencement certificate coming to us. You got to believe to us with a self declaration that I have complied with everything and you need to allow me. So, with all these measures, I think all our projects will be completed on time.
Okay. And I have one more question from Mumbai. What about unsold inventories with maximum number of units in Mumbai? This both of you could take. With unsold inventories, do you have an action plan on what you should be doing?
Well,
Some of the bankers did say that if you have unsold inventories, you hold on to it, even if you have to discount and sell it off. I don't think bankers said prices are going to crash. What they did tell you is keep liquidity in mind, and if you have
exactly.
to sell at a discount, do so. What is your strategy?
Jayshree, you will not believe that some of our developer friends have closed deals on ready flats.
Okay.
I have a friend of ours who closed the deal in Bandra. He got the whole 50 crores by a single check.
Okay.
Deals are happening. A lot of developers have been able to get EOIs. They couldn't visit the site. And I feel that maybe for the next 3 to 6 months, there could be a little time for the inventory to really sell because of whatever fear that the flat purchaser has. But I feel that everybody will get re-employed. I mean, wherever they were not employed, because India is a growing economy, a young economy. People who have the right skill sets, they are very easy. How do you adjust it in 15 days to COVID situation? Everything. The same adjustment will come, and I think within 6 months, we will or 4 months, we will see things coming up, the same sale velocity and everything coming up.
Will you see discounts happening on completed flats?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not.
That I think that's the question that was being asked. Suresh Hari, you want to respond in Bangalore as well? A
See,
complete inventory.
yeah.
Do you think there will be?
Jayashree, let us understand this is product is not a perishable commodity. But equally, what I said is a buyer beware has to be the basic principle on which one has to work on. If somebody is offering massive discount, it may be somebody who is not part of the association or something. The buyer has to check what is the reason. Is there some defect in the product? Is there anything missing in the product that you are looking at which is being given at a discount? A regular quality conscious builder, they will not reduce because 3 years have been you all saw the property has been gradually stabilizing, and it was almost at a good stabilization stage the COVID came in. So COVID should not put that breakdown because already it is bottomed out. The builders are not working on wafer thin margin even now. They are literally working at no profit, no gain level at present. If they come down, that means they are killing themselves. No sensible builder who has put the real quality in the product will reduce a penny on that. He will better wait because this is not a perishable commodity. Customers should understand you are buying a product for your living. You should know where to negotiate, where you should not negotiate, where you should expect, where you cannot expect. This is not something of a product which has come suddenly out of blue and you are trying to value it and pick it up. That's not the commodity. The prices will not come down. Definitely, it will start going up once the market picks up. but the whoever has signed, they will continue. They need to continue with the existing setup with the least of reset adjustment.
Right. Now, our last three questions of the day. There were talks around extension of EMI moratorium further. Will the government extend the EMI moratorium? Sudeep Malik, do you see moratoriums extending because the period of lockdown is extending?
Yeah, that is possible, but in any which way, how does it help? Anywhere, the interest will have to be paid. It may not be required to be paid now, so it doesn't make any difference, even if it is extended. To a large.
Yeah. There is another question. Is construction activities allowed in red zones? What precautions do builders and workers have to take on construction sites in the red zones?
I think red zone, no construction activity is allowed. But in Mumbai, there is nothing like a red zone. See, in Mumbai, they have declared containment zones. So let's say I live in Khar. So I have a building which is about 10 blocks away, where there was a COVID patient, and that building has been blocked.
Yeah.
There is nothing like a whole basti, getting stopped. Okay. There are some pockets where they found more, so that whole area was sealed off. That is there, but there is nothing like a red zone, that's there.
Sure. In Bangalore, Suresh Hari?
Yeah, in Bangalore, the red zones. See, the overall the construction Bangalore, though is under the total opening out has been done. They are quarantined areas where only they cannot ingress or come out. Wherein the other areas construction activities are allowed. What they said was in those areas where laborers are in situ, they can start working and there is no issue. Even movement is allowed in the other areas, labor movement. We have started commencement and mobilization of our materials are going on. We have started.
That's a positive signal. The last question of the day. My friend has a house in a project which was delayed by 3 years. The builder doesn't have money to complete it. How will the project situation be after the lockdown? Will it get better or deteriorate?
Go to Mr. Irfan Kazi of the stress fund and let him get that stress fund and complete the project.
Yes, because the stress fund is definitely there for the developers. If
Yes.
all the other factors are in place, then there is no reason why that developer should not apply to
Correct.
the fund.
Correct. Correct.
Okay. Thank you so much for joining me. It's been a long chat, but I think a very, very fruitful chat. Each one of you has contributed so much to this conversation that we have to be, we are coming out as an empathetic, compassionate community that everyone is suffering, and this is a reset. There has to be conforming to whatever your an accountability to whatever you have promised to deliver, and that seems to be the new way forward. In the meantime, what Sudeep Malik says is that if wherever you need to get your contracts done, their terms are changing, work with the associations of buyers rather than individual buyers so that the process can be speeded up. Thank you so much for joining me. I'm Jayashree Kurup, and this is MBTV.
Thank you. Stay safe. Stay healthy.
Yeah, thank you.